So RWBY Volume 7's teaser trailer has officially dropped as of October 3rd, 2019, and so I'm here to discuss the content within and what could potentially happen in the upcoming volume. The whole trailer is primarily narrated from the perspective of Ironwood. He manages to hold the tone of hopelessness, desperation, but also promise. As time has moved forward, it seems as though his fear of Salem has only grown. He mentions how it was only until now that he believed something could be done against her, meaning whenever Ozpin recruited him and brought him on, he has been hopeless and fighting in a fight he did not believe he could win. Or if he did think victory was attainable, he was lying to himself. Perhaps his change in optimism comes from learning of the relic. RWBY is in possession of it, and it seems undeniable that she and Ironwood will inevitably come into contact with each other sooner, more likely than later. So as an audience, we can assume someone amongst our main group fills Ironwood in on the story of Ozpin and Salem. Ozpin is still hiding. It was revealed at the end of Volume 6 that he didn't fully retreat into the mind of Oscar and stay hidden, but he's been watching through his eyes, just not conversing. By the tone the trailer gives off, Ironwood isn't nearly as fazed by Ozpin's reveal as Crow was. Ironically, it might be because Ironwood has already hit rock bottom. His Atlas military was seen worldwide being hacked and used to slaughter innocent. The events at the fall of Beacon must have been a blow to his confidence and leadership. And so with him already at an all-time low, Salem's origin might actually give him the hope that he lost and potentially never had. RWBY, even in this trailer, is asking for his leadership as she is uncertain of her own.
I'm trying to do what I think is best, but I really can't tell if what's best is what's right.
So Ironwood, I can imagine, is going to have a much larger role in this volume than he's ever had before. This is probably where RWBY is going to learn some sort of huge lesson in leadership. I would imagine it being more a lesson on learning to bear the weight of the decisions and consequences instead of learning what decision is right and or wrong per se. Speaking of Atlas's unfavorable public perception from the Vital Festival, that seems to be affecting some of the residents of Atlas as well. We previously learned that Atlas has shut itself off from the rest of the world, and that may be negatively affecting the residents. Throughout the trailer, we see how barren and desolate the streets are, while those who are on the streets are often vandalizing it. None of them look particularly wealthy or in a good place in life. We have this civilian throwing a trash can at a TV playing the Atlas Broadcasting Network. It could be the case that Atlas is so shut off from the rest of Remnant that it's even refusing to give news as to what's happening elsewhere, thus causing the anger and frustration of these people. A lot of the scenes in this trailer take place simply fighting Grimm on the streets. Anytime any of the characters are in their Volume 6 outfits, it was the scene that was shown at RTX. It's primarily just a fight scene against saber-toothed tiger Grimm. For those of you unaware, Atlas is going to house a lot more Grimm designs from animals you'd have seen during the Ice Age. Along with the saber-tooth fight in the streets, our characters also seem to eventually make their way to a dust mining shaft, where we get these millipede Grimm? I'm not one for recognizing animals or insects, but their venture leads them to an abandoned mining shaft, where they are ambushed. There's one scene where Blake is fending off from a Geist Grimm, and as we've seen from the White trailer as well as Volume 4, the Geist Grimm commonly possesses objects, making them more frightful and threatening. And this definitely appears to be what this giant colorful Grimm is. It appears that after entering the dust shaft and encountering a Geist, it got away and possessed a whole bunch of dust crystals and rocks, as well as breaking the structural integrity of the mining shaft. There are two currently unknown characters with Team RWBY in the shaft as well. Appears to be a man and a woman, both wearing Atlas clothing, possibly with Ironwood, but also there's another unknown group in this trailer. At the very end, it teases our characters all getting captured by this random group. Ironically, this is probably the second most chronological event in this trailer. After the events of Volume 6, our characters obviously made their way to the streets of Atlas, where they encountered the saber-toothed Grimm, fighting them off, where presumably after that event they are captured. They are still in their Volume 6 clothing, so whatever these bad guys do, good or bad, it doesn't last for very long. Also, Crow, Pro Huntsman, literally dancing on the edge of death with a sword to his throat casually like nothing's happening, taken out by bolas. Also, Blake, you're a cat, you got like 4 ears, you can hear a motorcycle coming from the jungle from 4 parsecs away, but you can't hear some scrub winding up to throw some bolas at you? Yeah, okay. Atlas itself looks a lot more different from what I had expected, for better or worse. For being built up as the most advanced and technologically superior kingdom of them all, looks a lot like Gotham. That's the most accurate way I can put it. The city is clustered together, it's dark, and it does not have a positive vibe by looking at it. I like the aesthetic, don't get me wrong. I don't have a problem with Gotham. But for the city part of Atlas, very Batman-y. I mean, now may finally be Jean's time to canonically become the Huntsman. The only other real location we see is an above-ground mining outpost. Very clearly, Atlas is known for having built its foundation on dust and the mining of it. Mantle pretty much died because of it, Mantle being the Atlas before Atlas existed. I think one of the downsides of this trailer was Blake's line.
This isn't right. This whole city, it just seems awful.
Now, I think it's mainly just the way the trailer wound up being edited that I don't like, because there's no problem with Blake saying the city seems awful. That's fine, it's an observation. But it's the line, "this isn't right." It's edited in this trailer to make it out as though she's observing Atlas as a whole and saying this isn't right. As though she knows what the city is like normally, but now it's not. And that should not be a line Blake says in regards to Atlas, because she's not from Atlas. If anything, it should be Weiss's job to state what is right and or wrong with the current state of Atlas. It is the kingdom she is most familiar with. Though, like I said, I think it was just the editing of the trailer that didn't make the line work. Later on, Team RWBY could be investigating something in the show where something is off and then Blake says, "this isn't right." And then for whatever reason, they just threw this line into the trailer. I don't know. But Volume 7 needs to focus on Weiss. Weiss needs to be in the forefront of this volume even more than RWBY. RWBY needs some spotlight, don't get me wrong, but not as much as Weiss. As for Yang and Blake, they need to be put on the back burner. Blake has had a non-stop arc for the past 6 years, which has finally come to some sort of conclusion, while Yang had small arc conclusions in Volume 5 and Volume 6. So they really need to not be in the forefront as much as Weiss and RWBY for Volume 7. Costume changes are a thing. Team Juniper has one as well. Sean has a haircut, so think what you will.
Oh! Stop! Stop! No, I'm serious. Stop! This is infringing on my rights, you...
Anyway, guys, that does it for the RWBY Volume 7 trailer. The volume will release on November 2nd, so be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are you excited? Does this trailer look good? Bad? Any and all thoughts, be sure to leave them below. And until next time, I'll see you in the next video.